recorded. Recordings will be available later by September end or so. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of Sundarban's House Express.js Bootcamp. I am Kunal Chaturvedi. This is our day 4. With me are moderators Tulika and Ravikant today. Please check for please ask your doubts in the Q&A section, and let's proceed for the day. So let me just share my screen quickly. And as mentioned before, let's go to our Google Cloud account, which you must have created previously. Okay, I think there is some error. It should be visible now. Can someone confirm once if the screen is visible? Okay, thank you, Dolika. So yes, so let's just go to our Google Cloud page, and we are continuing obviously from yesterday. So what we were doing yesterday was getting to know about routing in Express.js and how our server accepts requests, and we were able to display some data in an EJS page. We also went over on how our Express.js server is going to connect with our MongoDB server. Further today, and further, we also set up a little basic about our Passport.js authentication for our app, for which we sort of did half of the things yesterday, which you can find in the repository. And today we are just going to continue with that and finish and complete the final steps for that. And further now, today we are going to delve into something more exciting. We are going to actually create HTML forms, and we'll be creating our first pieces of data in our databases. So I hope that sounds exciting. So firstly, let's just log into our Google Cloud page. If you have not done this already, just go to Google Cloud once and log in with any of your IDs. Do not go for the free trial, otherwise it will ask you for a card. We are only concerned with getting a client ID and a client secret from Google Cloud for now. So making sure that we are logged into our Google account with our fresh IDs. Click on this navigation menu. Go to APIs and services. I'll go a little slow here because so just go on this APIs and services and click on OAuth consent screen, and it will take some time to load. And once it's done, we have to basically start generating our tokens. And let me see. Okay, so this might not look the same for you. It's because I had already tried this one so that you wouldn't have to pay. So okay, so whenever if you come here right now, it will basically ask you for an internal or an to create an internal or an external app. Just select external, as you might see here, and proceed. So I'll just click on edit, and you will see the further settings here. So in the app name, enter any app name that you want here. For the user support email, it might be auto-filled with your own email ID, and just skip the other things. And in developer contact info, just enter your own email ID or any other email ID for that purpose, and click save and continue. We can ignore all of this right now, all these scopes, and just click save and continue again. Again, we can ignore test users for now, and click save and continue. And in the summary again, we'll just click back to dashboard. The reason for doing all of this is because we want to use Google's authentication service. So obviously Google wants to know what are you using your app for. And when we are going to do this, we will be basically generating something similar to API keys. If you are aware of that, it is basically like a password. So something which Google provides us and allows our specific password to be used with their servers. That is what the keys are for. So Now to generate those keys, what we will be doing is go here and click on credentials. And let me just delete my current key so that I can show you what is the procedure. Go here on the top and click on create credentials. Again, if you have some problems in this right now in your Google Cloud account or something, just wait for a few moments. Just see through this, see the process for now, and maybe try later. We'll try to figure something out if there is a problem. And go to click create credentials, click on OAuth client ID, which is basically giving you some ID and a password, which is called a secret to you, uh, to be able to use Google's authentication into your own app. So we require those two things: one ID, one password, which is again like credentials for logging, credentials for allowing our app to access Google servers. In application type, just click on web application, and in the name you can leave it at web client 1 or enter something else. Even your app name would work. And for now, don't change all of this and just click create. And you will be presented with this screen. You can click copy here right now, or just click OK for now. Now, because we have done this already, let's now just come back to our VS Code for now. Let's leave this right here. This is all the setup that we required for now, and let's just come back to our VS Code setup. So I'll just share my screen again. Just a moment. Okay. Screen is visible again. Just one confirmation if somebody can give me. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Thanks. I'll just zoom in a little as required yesterday. Okay. Okay. So we left here yesterday and we were basically talking about sessions in Passport.js. We had our own MongoDB connection string generated from our server, and we created this session object, which you can find in the repo. And I have commented some of the things here to give you a reference on what each of these keys mean for the session. So if we talk very technically right now, we are using a session based authentication, which would mean that all the when we log in to our website, all the user details for the current user is going to be stored in a session, which is essentially a session cookie, and this cookie is going to be stored on the browser itself, that is the client's machine, and our MongoDB URL, and we can access both of them simultaneously. So let me just go through the other few things that we did yesterday. We also wrote this app.use session object because we want to enable Express to allow for storing sessions of each user. So this is what we did. And also we entered these three commands, or called these three functions with app.use to allow to tell Passport that, okay, we are going to use session based authentication. Then we initialized Passport, and then we wrote passport.session so that each of our requests are essentially authenticated. Then we wrote two more functions. One was passport.serialize user, which allowed for uh, storing user details in the cookie itself, which was on the machine and on the server, so that we could very quickly figure out details of the user. And this deserialize user was basically when we want to remove the cookie, so that function is present by default. So that function is pretty bare bones. So again, now coming to the important part, let's do this thing. So as we already talked about routers, let's now come to our users router, and let's just go here. And if you want this shortcut, just pressing Control and clicking in VS Code will directly lead you to that file. So now we are here in users.js, and we'll start setting up our Passport.js router here. Okay, so for doing that, Passport.js essentially has these things called strategies. Strategies are basically, so Passport.js is a very big library. It allows you to authenticate using various methods like Facebook authentication, email ID and password authentication, Google authentication, and many more, like even LinkedIn authentication or something like that. So there is a wide array of strategies or options that Passport.js allows you to use. So here we are going to use something called Google OAuth strategy, OAuth 2 specifically. This is a standard authentication procedure which is used everywhere. So that is what we are going to use. So to do that, let's just come to our users.js and write a few things here. So as before, because we obviously are using Passport, so we will just write const passport is equal to require passport here. Then we will also declare our MongoDB client now, which we will again do using const mongo client is equal to require MongoDB dot mongo client, if I'm right. And then we are going to use now the very thing called Google strategy. And how we are going to do that is just come here and write const Google strategy is equal to require, and we are going to now require another package called passport hyphen Google hyphen OAuth, which is passport hyphen Google hyphen OAuth dot OAuth 2 strategy, like this. And now we have included these strategies for us. Now instead, now let's proceed to using these strategies. And how will we do that? We will now do something like write something like passport.use. And passport.use will basically allow us to tell Passport that okay, Passport.js that okay, we are trying to use a specific authentication strategy. Mind you that this can be any authentication strategy apart from Google as well. So let's just write new Google strategy. The usage of the word new is again comes from creating a new memory space for a particular instance of a class. So for example, if this is a class that we are we are creating an instance of that class, and we want to create a new instance of that class. That is how objects or instances work in JavaScript or even across programming languages. Whenever you want to create some objects, you usually say new object because you want that to take up more memory space in your system. And the new Google strategy, basically this is something which is called constructors, and this takes some arguments now. And what are these arguments? These are the same as we generated right now. So this Google strategy takes these arguments. One is client ID. Let's leave it blank for now. Something called a client secret. Again, let's leave it blank for now. And something which is called a callback URL. And let's name it something which is which sounds useful to us for that matter. And let's just say it is something like auth slash Google slash uh, callback. So what this will do is whenever we have a successful login using this Google strategy, um, Passport.js will internally redirect our app to this particular URL in our server. So when there is a successful login, uh, we, uh, we get to so Passport.js basically calls this functions. Basically sends a get request to this URL, and then we will process the request on that callback URL as well. Now after that we have declared this particular object. If I make it much more clear, so this is what we are doing. So this is our object that we have created. So for the second parameter, we write it something like function, and in function we have these four items which are as a call, which is received as a callback to us. One is access token. This is something which is specific to uh, authentication services like Google or Facebook or something. So many other services. This is basically again something like another password for you, so that this particular user is a legitimate Google user, and Google verifies your email and gives you an access token. There is something called a refresh token, so that your authentication from Google side also doesn't expire. Something called profile, and this particular function called done. Let's again define this function. So what is happening here is we are using this particular client ID with us, and with this client secret that we have already generated and is with us. And whenever there is a successful authentication, we send the user back to this callback URL. The server sends a request to this callback URL. Now we have to do more things inside of our function itself, so that we can say that okay, our user is specifically uh, correctly logged in, and we complete the process. And to do that, we already have this done parameter with us. So if we return something like this, so if we say return um, done, and let's just say the first one as null and the second one as profile. We tell Passport that okay, our user has been authenticated correctly, and we can specifically now fire back this callback to a Passport saying okay, this is a correct login. And this callback function actually goes to our serialized user, which was created in our app.js. And this callback function goes to our serialized user. And as you can see, there is this certain thing called CB, and it also has two parameters, which has this object as the storage. So whenever our user gets successfully logged in, then our serialized user, which will add this information to the cookie, will add name, email, and photo of the user to the session, and store it in the cookie for us. So this is what is happening here. Now before this happens, actually we want to do a little more processing on the user and actually save that particular user into our database whenever the user logs in. But let's move forward for now, and implement these callbacks that we had created. So firstly, uh, let's do this thing. Let's first go here and make a route where we are basically initiating this response. So there is always this login button or something on your website, right? On any website which you click, and then the authentication process starts. So let's implement that, and we already know how to do these routers now pretty well. And let's just say router.get, and let's call this slash auth slash login for now. And let's write this in a function, and again this will be another function saying request response. Just a moment. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry for this mistake. This will actually be passport dot authenticate, and we say Google. And what this will do is, when someone goes to the slash auth slash login, our passport dot authenticate Google function will run, and all this will start here with just and all this will start this strategy of logging the user in, and everything. And now let's just do one more thing here, and inside of this authenticate function, let's specify some parameters. Let's specify another parameter which is usually called a scope. And scope is basically when we are logging the user in. Nowadays you would see that this basically comes out of regulations which are there in software, that you need to declare to your user why you are logging the user into your application, and what information of the user will the application be using. So we need two specific parameters from the user here, which is something called profile, and the email of the user. So this is what we will be requiring. Profile, because we want to get the photo of the user, say, for whatever purpose we require, and the email of the user which is logging in. So this helps set up our initiation for our this helps set up our initiation for calling our passport authentication function basically. And let's just now do one more thing. We'll also create our callback router, which was present before, like as you mentioned above. So whenever our authentication becomes successful, then we will be processing something there in our callback URL, callback router. And what we will be saying in that callback router is that if our user is successfully authenticated, then we will be redirecting the user to a specific router again. So there are many redirects, as you see, that are going on here. And all this is happening internally. When I really just start this off now, you will not see much that is happening on the face, but there are a lot of redirects going inside of it. So let's just create this callback router, and say get slash auth slash slash auth slash Google, whatever we mentioned in the callback URL, slash auth slash Google slash callback. And once we do this, we'll again call this passport dot authenticate Google function. But this time here we will mention these two things, which is a success redirect and a failure redirect. So we'll say success redirect here, and let's just route it to something called slash home maybe. And failure redirect would be on the home page, which is just say our root, that is just slash. So we are almost set up with our authentication right now. And let's try running this. And before we do that, actually, we will now have to install some of our packages, and for that let's write npm install passport hyphen google hyphen oauth, and hit enter. And this will take some time to run, and once that is done, we can, I guess, now try to start our app and see if it is running properly or not, if there are some errors. And again, the more you get familiar with errors, the more better you are at programming, basically. So now let's get our browser ready, and obviously this will be your own browser, Google Chrome or something. Um and just let's write nodemon here and see if our server is running well enough. Okay, and let's try reloading our page. And okay, we have one error already. It says passport is not found. Okay, so let's close our server and write npm uh, install passport. And how will you debug this for yourselves as well? If it says cannot find module passport, it is one of the simplest errors. Just go and write npm space install space that module name or package name, and it should do it for you. And I guess if passport is also installed, and now if I again try to run this, and let's try reloading it. Okay, we get another error now. It says it requires a client ID option. Okay, so this is my mistake. We didn't specify these client IDs that we had created and these client secrets that we had created. We have left them blank. So in order to do that, go back to your Google Cloud Console like we had created. Go to your OAuth. Go back to your credential section in your APIs and services. Okay, let me share the screen again. I'll present it once more. And once you go here, click on your web client ID, this name right over here, and you will see this additional information, the client ID and the client secret. So let's copy, hit Control C for our client ID, and copy that, and let's paste it here in this string. And let's also get our client secret. Click copy here, and paste it here. So this should set up everything up, and again our file is saved automatically. Uh, okay, passport dot authentication is not a function. Let me just see this once. We are getting an error in app.js, and let me just verify it once. It should be something else. Okay, sorry, it is not authentication. It is passport dot authenticate. Uh, I guess now we should be good to go. And if not, let's just try reloading our web page. Okay, so amazing. We are our server is working finally, and let's try going to this slash auth slash login URL endpoint, which will start all of our authentication activities. And how will we do that? We will just write slash users slash auth slash login. And why this user slash users is coming in? Is somebody saying something?
Could also
Okay, sorry.
I think you are sharing the.
Okay, right. Okay. Sorry for that. Um, I'll share my screen. I think this one. Okay. Is it visible?
Yeah.
It's visible, right? Okay. Okay, great. Um, now it says that okay, our resource is not found. It says on the users page. Let me see what is causing this problem. /auth/login should work fine, I guess. Should- You don't have access to this page. Um, okay, I think let's do one thing instead of uh, setting up our setting up our passport.js in the users file. Let's try moving it to the index.js file, because I think there is some problems with internal routing with passport.js, which might be causing all these errors for us. So just go to your index.js file and paste it there, and I think this should work now. And we'll obviously have to remove these slash URLs from here. And once we do that and reload this, okay, it says a Mongo client has already been defined, so we'll remove this from here and try to rerun. It also might be the browser that I'm using inside of VS Code that is causing the problem. If not, okay, let me try to do one thing. I'll just quickly go and check in my browser if this is working. Okay, right, so this is the browser which I'm using inside of uh, inside of my VS Code, which is causing some problem. So okay, let me share my all of my screen to actually get around this error. Uh, okay, I'll just share my entire screen and let's go through this error together. So once it goes live, okay. So now, okay, we want to do one thing. Let's just go and write local host 3000 where our server is running. Hit enter. It says welcome to my page, or everything is fine. And when we try writing /auth/Google now, uh, okay, sorry, what was it again? /auth/login. Okay, sorry. So it was /auth/login. Let's try doing this now, and it gives us some errors. It says access blocked. This app's request is invalid, and let's just see what it says in the error. So it gives us some error saying that the request or the redirect URL that you are trying to process is not valid, or is basically not given to Google. And again, this is some security mechanism which is implemented on Google's part. So we need to take this URL, basically our /auth/Google /callback, and come to our client ID here, and in this authorized redirect URIs, we need to copy and paste this URI for now, and hit save. And once that is done, I think if we just again go to /localhost/auth uh, /login again, and we should be getting rid of this error now. Okay, so we have all these IDs to log in from. Let me just select anyone, and okay, great. So even though it says that we have an error, we basically can just check here once if we actually received any errors in the authentication process, and just go to your VS Code and check these logger logs for your server. So what happened is, you can see it gives us a log saying that okay, we first opened up our root URL. It gave us some error maybe, and then we successfully opened our /auth/login endpoint, and the 302 code here means that it gave us a redirect, and as I said, there are going to be a lot of redirects, and then it gave a callback to the Google server with all of our data that we had, and it also gave us a successful redirect. And remember that here we mentioned that if it was a successful redirect, then we will be redirected to the home page, that is /home. So that is what happened. We were if you check the URL right here, then we were redirected to the slash home URL. That is what happened. So we have indeed logged into our homepage successfully. Now let's do one thing. As I mentioned previously, um, we were not getting, so this browser is not worth right now. So let's try doing one thing. Um, when, as I said before, just returning this user to our passport.js and letting it store the user in our cookies, let's try doing one thing. This Just try to do console.log when console.log profile when we are logging in our user successfully, and we will see that what all details are being stored for that user. So let's again just do that. Our server will restart, and let's just try again doing slash or slash login. And once we do that, we again see all of this. Let's click on any one of our accounts, and once we do that, we again face an error. But okay, it's fine because we are getting redirected to slash home. But let's come inside here, and this is what we will see is the great part. Now this is all the details of my particular Google ID that Google is sending back to us. You see, there is a lot and lot of data here. It is giving us all sorts of things like my display name, a segregated name name key with a family name, given name. It is giving us all our emails. It is giving us my photo, which is hosted on Google, and a lot of other things, basically in other formats as well. And it also says that there is a certain provider. So see, we are getting so much information from the user. And now instead of just leaving this in the console, let's store this data directly in our MongoDB database while we are at it. And how will we do that? So, like we were doing yesterday, let's again just copy this bit of code that we had below on our index.js page on our home page, where we were establishing establishing a connection with our MongoDB client. Let's just paste it here because it is going to be the same thing over and over again. And because await cannot work by itself, let's write async here on top, and this error goes away. And what we now have right now is, just a moment. Okay, we are again connecting to MongoDB and establishing our client. We are getting our database MyDB, which we had created yesterday, and we are getting a collection called test, which we created yesterday. But because now we are going to store details of user in the MongoDB database, let's do one thing here now. And instead of saying collection test, let's call it users. And we know all of this information exists, and now we are going to do the most important part, which will become our building block for more details further. Here we will store this information by creating an object into our MongoDB database. And how will we do that? Once we have our collection reference here in the variable, we'll just write collection dot insert one. And Visual Studio Codes gives us this neat option of uh, autocomplete. And in this insert one, we do these curly braces and insert these curly braces for saying this is a certain object that we want to this certain object that we want to put in our database. And let's use these particular details which we had here. So let's say what are we going to insert into our database? So insert one will do name, and what will be the name in this object that we see on the bottom of the screen? We had I think profile dot display name. Right, this is one field which we want to store about the user. The other thing which we want to store is email, and we can do that by saying profile dot emails. And because we can see here emails is given in a square bracket, and in the square bracket we have one object, so we will do emails of 0, which is basically referencing the array at the first element, and saying emails dot value, because we can see that this is what we want to achieve or get, which is emails, the first element from the emails array, and the value key from that first object. We can finally store one more thing of value, which is maybe the photo of the user, and we can do that by saying photo is the key which will be stored in our MongoDB database, and we will say photos, sorry, profile dot photos, and again this is an array. We will again say reference the 0th element of that array, and say dot value, and this is what we will be entering into our collection. And again, let's just write await before this collection dot insert one. I've been not mentioning why we are using await in certain places. Maybe we'll get into this tomorrow. Just one refresher I'll give on what is async and await. But just write await for now, because this is a long operation and this might take more time than expected. So we tell the program to wait for some time before this is actually sent to the database. um okay, now our application starts again. We'll again just go here, write /auth/login. We will again see our sign in screen. We will again select one of our users, and this takes more time. We are again redirected to our home page. But now let's come to our MongoDB database that we created, right? uh, and you can use the connection string as mentioned before, to access your database through the web client. But I have this uh, extension installed, which will also give us the same details. And let's just go here, and in our cluster, let's look for this database, MyDB, which we had, and we can see that there is already a collection called users, and in users we have a certain amount of documents, and when we click on this, we see that all of our information for the particular user has been stored in MongoDB. So our when we clicked on auth login, our request got processed, and before we sent a successful callback back to Passport.js, we actually created this user right here. We connected to our client, created this user from the profile that was sent back to us, and we inserted this record into MongoDB with these values, right? So this is how each of our logins is now going to insert one collection into the database. But one thing which you will see right now is, if we again try to do one more login, and let's try doing that again. Let's go to /auth/login and again try to log in. What we will see is one one more user with the same email ID is again going to be inserted into our database, and we can come and check it right here. Let's reload this once, and we see that now we have two documents for the same two documents or two rows in our users collection, and they have the exact same details for the user. But this is not we want, right? This will lead to a lot of redundant data in a practical situation. Each time one user logs in, we are always creating one row. I'm sorry, we are going a little over time today, but because the topic demands, I request you to be a little more patient. So now, because we used insert one, we encountered this problem. So let's change this and let's change this function a little, and let's not call insert one. We'll use another function which is called find one and update. The name is self-explanatory, and what we will do is find one and update. Sorry, it should be find one and update. And this will, and let's remove this for now. I'm just cutting it for now, and this will have two parameters basically. This provides us two parameters, or three if we require, right? If So the first parameter says that what do we want to find in the user's database. So let's say that we want to find a user with the email um, uh, profile dot uh, profile dot emails of 0 dot value. This is what we want to find, and we want to see, okay, if this user already exists in the database, then we will set we will set this new document, or we'll set the values for the user, and if not, then we'll insert this value into our database. And how do we do that? In the second parameter, we will write dollar set. This is again some MongoDB notations of setting a particular value, and let's just say and paste our previous document here. And this is what we will be setting for the user with this email if it exists. And there is one special parameter that we are going to declare, which says upsert true. Now upsert is the combination of update and insert, and when we set it to true, MongoDB implements our logic that we are trying to make, which is update if this email exists, and insert if this email doesn't exist. So this is what we will see for now. And let's just try and if I can see if I can delete these documents. So we'll delete these documents again from our database. um, and once we do that, we'll again log in now, and let's see that if there are two users or duplicate users being made for the same email. So let's again try to go and log in twice. Actually, let's try logging in twice and see what happens. So let's log in once, and if we get redirected to our home page, it's working fine. And let's just check our database once and see if a document was inserted. Yes, a document was inserted, and we currently have this one document which can be seen here. Uh, and let's again try and log in again and see what is happening. Are we creating multiple documents for the same user or not? So let's again log in with the same user and see what is the case now. We are again redirected to home. That is completely fine, which means our user is logged in successfully. Let's again refresh our database and see what happens. You can see we haven't now created a duplicate user. That was our whole purpose. We haven't inserted the user again and again on each login. Instead, we are just checking okay. If this user exists, then we'll insert, and if this user doesn't if this user doesn't exist, we'll insert the user into the database. And if this user already exists, then we will update with these particular details. This is all we are checking with MongoDB, and our complete authentication system is authentication system is complete now. This is what we were going for. And if we have a little time, if you can just give me a thumbs up on if you guys are with me, and we can spend some 5 more minutes on working on this same same thing, and we'll implement just one last thing which will okay, a lot of thumbs up. Okay, thank you. So we'll now go over a few more things, and actually try to create what we've had in the mind in the start. Somebody had raised their hand. Please, I would suggest just wait for a few moments. We'll go into our Q&A as well. That would not be compromised. So let's now move over to something better. Like, okay, this authentication stuff is very boring, and I'll tell you, once you set this up in any application, you barely go and touch it again, because this is now working. You would barely go and touch it again, or maybe make some minor changes here and there, but not more. So let's do one better thing, or let's just try to make one more change in our application. And uh, we'll start off by making one new view, and one view for actually creating a product in our product listing website. We are actually just starting it now. So today we'll just try making our products adding new products into our website. And how will we be doing that? Is just go here into your views folder, click on it, and click on new file here, and create a view called something like create product.ejs. Let's just call it that. And inside of this, as I mentioned, to read something about HTML forms, let's just try go and create one HTML form. And I frequently in HTML use something which is called emmet abbreviations. Maybe I can again we can have that as a little task for tomorrow. So basically, emmet abbreviations allow you to write HTML very fast. So let's just create a form which sends a post request, and this is going to be our very first post request. And what is going to be there inside of our form? Our form is going to contain one input tag which is of type text, and it has the name is an identifier of the input tag, uh, which the server will read. So this is very important, and we will just call it name. Our input tag is called name, and let's set a placeholder here which says product name. So we will be taking some input in this HTML form about the name of the product that is going to be now inserted into our database. Let's write br break this form, and now okay. And now what we are going to do now again is again make this input tag, and say this is something called price, and in the placeholder we'll write product price. We are creating all of this just as an exercise of doing the CRUD operations that we had in the start. uh, and we'll put the type as number. Here we'll again introduce the break tag, and just one or two more things which we would want. One, let's say photo, or yes, okay, let's call it photo, that we have some product photo here, and let's just call it product photo. And maybe one final thing which we want about the product is description, some description about the product which we would be listing on our website. So this would just say product description. We are making a very simple form, and let's just hit save now. And in our index, let's come to our index.js page, and make in the router, let's add one more get route saying slash create. Okay, let's just call it slash create product now. And again we have this same exercise again and again. We have this request and res, and next, and we also have these curly braces, and inside of it let's call res dot render, and say create product, which is the name of our file, create product.ejs. So we call it create product, and let's click save. And if we now go to our localhost and going to create product, we see that our HTML form should render now. Okay, this is looks very small. Let me enlarge it a little. Okay, so this is something which currently we have right now. One thing which I forgot to put here is, again, let's just do another br tag and make a right button, and in this click on button submit, and let's just say submit. So now when we save and reload, we will see that our basic form of entering a product into our database is ready. And we have to do something with this information. And remember that when we created this form, we put the method as post. So whenever this form actually we click on submit, a post request gets sent to this action URL. And now currently this action URL is empty. So let's again just write / create product and hit save. So what happens is in our form on our page, whenever we have this and we click on submit, our form sends a post request to this create product endpoint. But currently we don't have any way to handle that create product endpoint. So we'll just write router dot post, and in this we will again our first argument would be / create product, and our second would be function request result next. And now we will be doing something which we already did with our user authentication. uh, i'll I'll just close this so you get more a larger view. Okay, so this is what we will be doing. We will again do this very specific thing. We'll again just copy and paste it to, like, I am lazy, so let's just copy and paste it right here. And because again we are using await, so again let's write async. And instead of going to the collection users, let's refer to something called a products collection. And mind you that if you refer to a collection which is not already present, and if you try doing something with that, so whenever you perform any operation, MongoDB will automatically create that collection for you if it doesn't already exist. So that is something inbuilt into MongoDB. And let's now do one thing. Because our and because our products are going to be actually inserted and not updated or something, so here we will use something called collection dot insert one. And let's make this function, and again write this curly braces, and where we will have this data. Now you might be wondering, uh, we don't have all this data, like now that we created this post request. Okay, we know how to handle this post request. Where are we getting this data? So as you might remember from what I said a few minutes ago, is we have these names for each of these input fields: a name, a price, a photo, a description, all of these things. So let me comment this out for now, and let's instead just say res.send working. Maybe let's not do anything more, and instead let's just try doing console.log um, uh, request dot body. Now this is something which is important. So when I told you that we are going to send a post request to the create product endpoint, we received all that information that was present in the form in the request dot body attribute. So the request that was sent from the form, HTML directly puts all that information inside of an attribute called body inside of the request. So the body of the request would mean that all the information that is being sent by the user along with this request. And let's try and printing this out, doing some console.log thing. And here we'll again go here, reload this page. Let's enter something basic. Let's enter chocolate, price 100. Let's leave product photo, and in the description we'll just write tasty chocolates, and just let's click submit. We get sent with a working message, and if we come to our console right now, we will see that our console actually logs this. Whatever information we sent from the backend to from the front end to our backend, we are receiving this in the request.body, and you can see this right here in your console. So this is our object that we are getting. So now let's let's uncomment this and move a little above what we wanted to do. Let's comment this out again. We don't want the console.logs to occur again and again. And in this first object, what we will write here is name, and how will we reference to the name of the product that we entered on the front end is by saying request.body.name. And again, the second key would be price, which we entered. And this time we will be instead we will be saying parse int, because we want this to be an integer, the price. And and in JavaScript, if you have a number written as a string, all digits, and if you give a parse int to it, it tries to convert that string into an integer. This is what we will do right here for now, and say request dot body dot price. The next one, what we'll do is photo, and photo is basically a photo URL. For now, let's just write request dot body dot photo, and in the description we'll again write description, and colon, and say request dot body dot description. Let's save it, and let's try to submit our form just one last time for the day. Let's go to our create product page, and let's again do all of that. Let's write our product name as chocolate, and let's put our product price as 150 now. Let's leave product photo empty for now. I'll talk a little bit about photos in the coming days. And in the description, let's just write tasty chocolates and hit submit. If everything is working fine, we will get a working message. And now how this means that everything went well. Our product was actually inserted into our collection using our form on the front end. And how do we check that? Let's go to our MongoDB database, and we can see that there is this products collection that has been created, and in this we have one document, and we have created this one document, and in our document we finally have this product that we created. So we have all the information exactly the same as we entered on the front end, saying the name of the product is a chocolate, the price is 150, we didn't enter any photo, so that is blank, and the description is tasty chocolates. So this becomes our very foundation of the database which we would be using to solve make to proceed with our application. This will essentially become something like a OLX sort of page, or an IndiaMart sort of page, where each user will be able to post or create their own products or list their own products on the website, and all others can see the products, and the user who created those products will be able to delete and edit all those products for themselves. So that is our goal right now. Tomorrow, so we'll close it right here. I'll update the repository maybe now or later, saying this is what day 4, right? We'll just close for now, and you might you will see this working repository. Okay, let me. Okay, so I think we'll close for now. Let's move on to questions. Okay, Mohit asks, can you show what URI we have to add to Google Cloud again for login authentication? Mohit, this what we wanted to do is your callback URL can look completely different to mine. That is not a problem. So here I added /auth/Google/callback in my authorized redirect URIs on Google. The reason for adding this very specific URL was that when we set up our passport authentication right here, sorry, where was it? In this, right? In index.js, we specifically mentioned in the callback URL that, okay, this is the callback URL that we are going to consider. And we then went ahead and made our router.get. We created our get router for that specific callback because of whatever notation we use. So this could also just look like a /auth/callback and /auth/callback here. And but then what you would need to do is go and write this whole thing with localhost 3000 slash auth slash callback here. So you can also mention multiple callbacks here. So this could also just be slash auth slash callback, and you can hit save. It will not create a problem. So that is the logic for why we set that very specific callback. It comes from Passport.js, and I think we have already updated today's repository. If you just go and clone it and try running it using npm install, or if some modules are missing, you will get the exact same situation as we have for now. Do we have any questions in Q&A? Okay, Q&A is empty. Any other question? Mohit, have I answered your question? Yeah, okay. Thanks. Great. So that is what we did. See, you can again go. So as I've also updated the code now, you can go and look at it for some time uh, and see. I hope there are no problems with the forms. Or can I get a thumbs up if everybody understood how forms and the server was working? If somebody can send a thumbs up, or if we understood how that was working. Great, great. So okay, great, amazing. Almost everyone gave a thumbs up. That's amazing. So similarly, just go. I think that is the more simpler part, and you would realize it, right, when we go through our next steps. See, once we got this creation of a product, right, every other URL is going to be very simple to create. If I tell you very honestly, the update URL is also going to be literally the copy of the create URL, with just a different MongoDB call. Instead of inserting, now we will use the find one and update thing, which we did for the users. And for deletion, we will just find the current product maybe, and just send a delete request. So if you understood this very concept of a form interacting with our server, interacting with our database, all other CRUD applications using Express.js will be a cakewalk for you. It is going to be very simple. Maybe you need to give some more time. If you didn't understand it, just go and check how we established our Passport.js login. And if if required further, you can try going through the Passport.js documentation as well for the Google login, which is mentioned here. So their library documentation, um, you can just see how their flows are working, how the callbacks are made, and everything. And once that is done, I think we are good to go, and our application will not take much time now to actually be created. Now, if we don't have any other questions, we can end the meet, uh, and we'll again come back tomorrow. Some sort of homework or some tasks, if I say, is not much that we need tomorrow. Basically, we are again just we'll try to create the edit routes, the and the delete routes, basically. And something, yes, which you can read today is something called middlewares in Express. Let's keep that as the task for today. Try to read about middlewares. If not, I'll try to go through it tomorrow once, if we finish with completing the routes tomorrow. So this is what we will be using. We'll also restrict the logins a little. Sorry, we'll also impose the authentication on the routes which we have. So all this will happen through middlewares. So just search it once, read it on one or the some website for now, and let's leave it. Let's come back tomorrow then again, and let's proceed with creating our routes for our product listing website. And from tomorrow, I guess it will not be very difficult. And let's see. we'll also go over middleware if we get time, middlewares if we get time tomorrow, and then we'll proceed to the ending of our boot camp. Actually, this is the very largest milestone that we wanted to achieve today. Just clone the code, see for itself what we have done till now. Maybe you can revise a little. That's all. That's all for today. I have already spoken a lot. So if you have any doubts, you can raise your hands. If not, let's close the session now. Okay. Okay, I think we can close the session now. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you Tulika again for moderating. Uh, thank you Ravikant. Thank you all participants, everybody for coming today. Let's now our GitHub repository is also available, which I have already shared. I'll again send it in an email tomorrow. Yes, Tulika already sent it. So this repository contains code till today and will be updated as we go ahead. So let's I'll send this information there as well, and some tasks again tomorrow morning. So thank you again everyone.